so welcome back. Today we are going to be working with oil pastels. This is a new medium that I've introduced to you guys. It's a little bit different from what we've been working with. We've done a lot of things with colored pencil. We used a little bit of markers, but now we're going into a medium that requires a little bit more control. But the really cool thing about it is you can experiment a lot with this medium. So the project that we're going to complete this week, I like to call it my Colorful Cities project. We're going to use geometric shapes to create buildings, imagining that we're inside of a big city, or maybe we're driving around a big city and we're seeing the cityscape, okay? After we create those geometric shapes, we're going to color those geometric shapes in using our oil pastels. I'm going to show you a couple of techniques you can use, and we're going to create a skyline as well at the top. This is a really nice project that one of my students completed in the past. A lot of color here. It really makes your eye carry across the image because of the way that the colors bounce in between all of the buildings. If you've seen my artwork, my paintings, I love to use geometric shapes and I love to use a lot of bright and vibrant colors. So this project is right up my alley. There's going to be some experimentation with this, with the way that you apply the oil pastel to the paper, and I'll explain that to you. I'm going to show you a couple more projects and then we're going to get started, okay? There's another completed project right here. I really like the way that this project has those dash marks and those lines in it, creating texture in the buildings. It almost reminds me of a Vincent van Gogh painting. This one right here is really beautiful. If you see at the bottom, I might have a couple staples in it because I had it hanging up, but I really love the color use, the light colors that were placed onto the paper. I love the texture. You can see the paper's texture through the drawing, and that really makes it just stick out. I like the way that this artist put the stars and the patterns in the sky as well with the white moon. All right, so as you can see, I have myself a black piece of construction paper. We've been drawing with white drawing paper, basically for the first few projects, but now we're going to move on and we're going to try to tackle something new. These oil pastels, they're a lot thicker when you apply them to the paper than, let's say, a regular marker or a colored pencil. So when you apply these oil pastels to paper, it's going to make for a vibrant, bright color, and the black of the background sometimes will come through and create a texture, okay? So I just want to show you guys a couple of things that you can do when you're using oil pastels. For blending, go in a circular motion. We've done this before with colored pencils, and I'm going to press hard and I'm going to get a little bit lighter as I go, just like so. Using my red, I'm going to go right on top of that red with an orange, do the same thing, going in that circular motion. And I can go a little bit looser too and let some of that paper texture come through. Circular motion. I really like to go in almost a scribbly circular motion when using oil pastels. The reason I like to do it that way is because, again, it kind of works well with the texture of the paper. It gives it a real organic, natural, painterly look, okay? As you can see, I'm letting those colors blend together, taking my time, going in a circle, almost scribble-like motion. And this may be a really nice practice for you guys too. Maybe on the back of your paper, if you have an extra piece. Just do a little bit of practice. Get familiar with using oil pastels before you get started on your project. There's my blue. This project's gonna allow you to do a lot of experimentation. You can go in more textures than just that scribble. You can make little marks all across your paper. Implied texture is what I would call that. You can go marks in the same direction. You can overlap those marks using the complementary colors there, red and green, to create new textures going in the same direction. So it's going to be really experimental. You might just want to get a little bit familiar with this medium before we start on our project, okay? All right, so in order to complete this project, you're going to need your oil pastels, you're going to need a ruler, of course your black construction paper, and I would advise you to have a paper towel with you as well to help clean off the oil pastels once you've used them and blended them with another color, because they can pick up the other color that you blended them with. I want you to stay away from black and gray. We want this to be a vibrant, colorful piece, okay? So we're gonna stay away from black and gray for this particular project. The first thing that we're going to do in order to create this project is we're going to create our buildings using a white oil pastel and our ruler. And follow along with me, this is what we're going to do. We want our buildings to be random sizes. So I'm going to start at the bottom of the paper and I'm going to draw a random line going up, just like so. I want my building to stop there, so I'm going to draw a line going across. All right, now I'm going to draw another building right beside it, about the same size, and I'm going to take my oil pastel, but I'm going to go a little bit taller. All right, I'm going to go across very lightly, and then I'm going to bring that down, just like so. Now I'm going to go ahead and make my third building. I'm going to make this one shorter than the second building. I don't want them all the same height. It's gonna look more interesting if some are taller and some are shorter, just like that. And the next building I make, I'm gonna make it a little bit taller, so I'm gonna retrace this line, go back up a little bit, very lightly. I'm not pressing really heavy, and that's as tall as I want it. I'm gonna mimic that line for the next part of the building. Now I'm going across again. I'm gonna keep going until I am done doing the same thing all the way across my paper till I feel satisfied. I want this building a little bit taller, and you know what? I'm gonna angle that. That building's gonna have an angle. Next building is gonna be about right here. I can even put a dot there, and it's gonna be a little bit wider than the other ones. Buildings come in all types of sizes and shapes. This one will be taller, so I'm gonna extend this line. And I'm going to make this one have an angle also, so I'm gonna stop there. I'm gonna draw that angle. Now that we've got our buildings drawn up, we're gonna draw shapes within those buildings, geometrical shapes, okay? So you can do that with your ruler, you can do it freehand, it's totally up to you, okay? I'm just gonna go freehand and I'm gonna start drawing random shapes inside of my building, just like so. I don't want them to all line up perfectly. It's gonna be more interesting if the shapes do not line up perfectly with one another. So like if I extend that line across, it might cause some confusion. This one, I'm gonna create some V's, some sideways V's, all right? And I'm just gonna keep getting creative, doing what I feel as I go. Perfect, okay? Keep on until you are finished. You can get as creative as you want to. However, I would stay away from putting too many lines. Then your drawing might be a little bit uninteresting because it's too much going on. Perfect. Now we have our underdrawing completed. Step 2 is we're going to start to color into these shapes. One thing that I like to do when I'm creating geometric patternized types of artwork is I like for colors to be repetitive from left to right, okay? All over the paper. So maybe I'll select red and I'll start in this building here. I'm going to go in that circular motion and I'm going to start building layers of color, just like so. I'm using that scribble motion. You can use other motions. You can experiment. I like to use this scribble circular motion. I'm going to stop there. I'm going to move here. Make sure that color is repeating throughout the image. I don't mind how many colors you use, but I do want you to stay away from the gray and the black, okay? I'm gonna skip this building and I'm gonna put the red into this building right here. And I'm kind of going up and down with where I'm placing the colors, like down, up, down, sort of like that, giving it some rhythm. I know I use that word a lot, but I really like to have rhythm in my paintings and my drawings, okay? I'm gonna go here, red, scribble technique. I'm gonna come here. Actually, I'm gonna skip and I'm gonna go right here. Every building doesn't have to have the red in it, but the red is still going across. Scribble, little controlled scribble. Perfect. Now I'm looking at it, I'm like, you know what? I like what I'm doing so far, but I wanna enhance those colors. So those reds, I'm gonna take another color and I'm gonna go into that, okay? So I'll take the orange and I'll go right over it. Creating texture. That red and orange is blending together. Sometimes the red pops out more than the orange. sometimes the orange more than the red. And I'm going to just continue to push, just like so, on top of that red. Perfect. One thing I want to do, now that I've blended that orange on top of that red, I'm going to take this paper towel and I'm just going to wipe that orange off, okay? So I can take that red off, that blended together. Oil is kind of a sticky medium, and even when you get done completing this drawing, a year later, if you touch it, it's still going to have a stickiness to it, okay? So now it's time, move on to another color, do the same thing. Maybe a green here. And even those red and orange areas, I can still develop that. I can make that brighter. Maybe a green here. And I just keep going across my paper, up and down with the green, different areas, different sections, making that rhythm, that color rhythm. Your eye is going to say, okay, I see green on the left. I'm going to keep going with my green to the right. It's almost like reading. Green, 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 green. You're just reading across the paper. I'm going to take some yellow, go over my green layers. Okay. I might even decide, you know what? I might put some of that yellow on top of those red areas, some of them that I went into, just to give it a little bit more variety. Not everywhere, just in some spots, okay? And you're just gonna keep building layers of color on top of layers of color until you feel satisfied. You don't wanna see a lot of the black of the paper. You wanna see just a little bit of the black. You really want the colors to stand out and be vibrant. And let's say that you finished the whole paper from left to right. You've made 3 or 4 layers in each shape of colors, and it's really vibrant and bright. Now it's time to work into the sky. What you can do is you can decide what color you want your sky to be. Do I want my sky to look like a more natural bluish sky? Do I want it to look like a sunset? Maybe use some red, orange, and yellows. Do I want to make it look like it's the nighttime on a moonlit day? Maybe I want to use some darker blue, maybe some whites, maybe even a little red and make a darker purple. Once you do that, you make the decision. Maybe I want to start with a brighter blue. Maybe I'll go side to side, switch my texture up just a little bit, starting at the top of the buildings, working my way up. And the more I work my way up, I get a little bit lighter with my color. I press a little lighter. It's just like a blending process that we've used with other mediums. And one thing I've noticed about the sky is when you look at it, it seems like it's a little bit brighter towards the horizon line where the ground meets the sky. And then as the sky goes higher, it gets a little bit darker. So I'm going to use those darker blues closer to the top, and I start blending those colors in. I might even want to use some white towards the bottom, brighten that sky up a little bit towards the bottom. Do I want a cloud? I can always draw in a cloud, just like that. You can get creative and draw it in whatever way you want. Maybe I'll draw in a sun or a moon, just like so. I could draw a full circle, half circle on the side. All right, I just want you to really get creative with this project and really see what you can do, okay? I look forward to seeing your experimentation with this new medium of oil pastel, how well you do with it. Use those geometric shapes. Try different patterns of color and applying the color to the canvas. Excuse me, not canvas, but the paper. Do what comes best to your mind, make it feel natural. You're gonna come up with a unique, amazing project. All right, so now we are back to our completed project. As you can see, my student who completed this project, they did a lot of color experimentation. They made sure there was a lot of color rhythm and movement inside of the buildings. You can see this nice icy blue just repeating across. You can see that yellow repeating across, just like so. You can see this deep darker blue-green repeating across the image, okay? They decided to use those lighter blues fading into the darker blues for their sky. They did not use clouds or a sun or a moon. However, you can do that. Make it your own, experiment, create texture, make sure that the majority of the paper of the project is color and just a little bit of the paper is showing, okay? Give it texture. I look forward to seeing how well you do. You're gonna do an awesome job. Your skills are developing. All right, thank you and good luck.